What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Wednesday. BobbyFi here, flying solo for the morning. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a quick preview of golf, and then Sheets is going to come for live later on. He may even drop a golf thing in there, but I'm going to be at the Dodger game tonight and coming down from Santa Barbara, so it's going to be a little bit tricky for me to make a 6 Eastern show. Did want to remind everybody before we get started really quick that we do have our promo for the NFL. Promo code is the NFL 24. 24% off your first month, 10% off yearly subscriptions. That's also, it includes any upgrades. So if you guys want to upgrade anything, use that code. I think we were basically I think we're like the lowest end price for what you're getting of everything. We're basically a couple dollars more than SaberSim, actually cheaper with the code. And we have all of SaberSim stuff. We have all of, the TrueDFS stuff, all of Sheet stuff, all of Bobby's stuff. All of, Rody, Goldie, Brandon. Sorry, I'm a little out of it this morning, but yeah. So I thought that we got a lot of stuff going on. So I really would suggest check it out. I think we're a great option for the NFL season. On top of that, we'll have a number of NFL shows. We'll do some coaching roundtable sessions every week, live sweats every week. Some of those are eventually going to be behind the paywall, and hopefully for our subscribers to enjoy. But that's where we're at. AJ's asking a question that is really irrelevant to me. It's a 2-game slate that Paul Skeens is on, so I'm just not even paying attention to that game. It's not really on any slate that is playable to me. So I don't think he's on a short leash, but I honestly didn't research a 2-game. There's 3 2-game slates today. I'm not playing any of those. I did not research them. Usually our rule is 3 games and above. With 2-gamers, or unless there's a big showdown, but like even the tournaments are kind of crappy. So I don't think it really matters what Paul Skeens is or not. It's still going to be the best option on the slate. At the same time, I would suggest if you're going to play those 2-game slates, you get very, very contrarian, and you can play him with hitters against him. You can play hitters against him just anyway and not play him. That's the way to get different, because he's going to be 1,000,000% owned regardless of anything. But I have no real thoughts on Skeens, as he's not on any slate more. It's just a little tiny 2-gamer. And I would also suggest that if you're going to play those 2-gamers and you like them, you just have to get crazy different, be willing to lose probably 80% of the time. And then when you win, hopefully hit the big ones by getting different enough, because it's really just, it's really tough to play 2-game slates and DFS and be profitable. It's a little better in the playoffs and stuff when everybody's sort of, no matter what, what they're doing, but kind of tricky to do. Okay, guys, let's get into it. I'm going to start talking game by game here. And I'll keep an eye on that other side just to see if I can see if there's any weather things. I don't have any weather things at the moment, but I don't see anything. Yeah, Cub Stack, there you go, AJ. Yeah, always contrarian, absolutely. No reason not to do that, even if we agree that Skeens is probably the best pitcher in baseball in a lot of ways. Certainly the best DFS pitcher. All right, so we've got Bassett and Bello in Boston. This feels like a similar spot. I feel like the Bassett and Berrios play is sort of similar to what we had the other day. I personally you got 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing in. I think this is the spot where you could use Bassett. So nobody is going to stand out as a priority for me here today, but I do think Bassett is the one I would consider strongly. Strikeouts expected 5.5, not great, not amazing, but not terrible either for 8K. It's a discounted price for a guy with a leash and upside. And the hitting in this game, again, like I mentioned, it's 10 miles an hour wind blowing in from left. It's 77 degrees. It's not quite as good at hitting weather. It's still Boston, always going to be decent hitting weather. And I'm somewhat interested in a low-owned Toronto stack. Those set cores were from the other day. But I'm a little bit interested in the Toronto stack, even with the wind blowing in. Maybe focus more on the lefties and throw one righty in or something like that. But definitely not my favorite spot, but it's certainly one I'm considering. It's Fenway, even when there's wind blowing in and it's not the hottest day. It's still going to be better hitting weather than most places. All right, moving over to Sale and Festa. Excuse me, in Minnesota. All right, so Sale, we know, is probably going to have the highest case prop. Yeah, 6.5 though is a little lower for him. It's not a great matchup, to be honest with you, against these Twins. These Twins are absolutely good against left-handed pitching. Now, at the same time, it's still Chris Sale, and we don't have endless options to pick from. So I do think Chris Sale is near the top of the list. I'm still just debating whether or not I want to prioritize him. But look, I'm obviously interested. It's just a little bit of a tougher matchup, but we've seen Sale destroy those plenty of times. Festa against Atlanta is kind of interesting. He's 6,800. He has enough upside, I think, where if you wanted to play him here, he's very viable. You see those projections for him. I'm going to bring over Goldie's projections. I think Sheets will have his a little bit later today. And you can see that Goldie's got Festa a little bit lower than SaberSim does. I tend to lean more to where Goldie is here. I think that's probably closer to where Festa ends up. And at the same time, I'm not going to play like Atlanta's not a priority for me, but they are one of the teams that would rank sort of similar to how I have Toronto. I think they're both completely viable, but probably end up on the outside looking in for me. We'll do a build at the end of this, by the way. And another quick reminder, please get the likes up. You guys, we really want to keep doing these videos for free. We've got a great members here at TrueDFS, and we could just make this all behind a paywall. So really, especially if you're not one of the members, please click the like button anyway, even if you are, but certainly if you're not a member, give us that like button. We appreciate it. It's not a whole lot to ask. All right, Musgrove and Palante in St. Louis. They raised Musgrove's price quite a bit. It's still like 90 degrees there. Very slight breeze. Looks like 4 or 5 miles an hour blowing in from right center. I have interest in Musgrove just in the sense that he's not getting any ownership. I wonder where we're at with his pitches. 87, so moving back up. You'd like it to be a little bit higher, but personally, I'm okay with taking shots on Musgrove here today. We still haven't reached a priority pitcher yet. We're only in our third game, but still, you'd think we'd have a priority pitcher somewhere along the way. So I am going to say this is a spot where I want to do some stuff here. 90 degrees, Palante, I actually think is a pretty decent-ish pitcher. The Padres are rolling. They've been excellent, especially in the second half, not just the second half of the year, but basically after the first couple months. They've been really awesome. Padres people don't realize it, have the highest batting average of every team in baseball. They've also I think they're now the 6th or 7th highest scoring team in baseball. So I actually am coming more onto the Padres these days. And as a low-owned stack, I think we could do a lot worse than the Padres as a low-owned stack. So again, it's not a priority, but this is my favorite of the contrarian spots. This, along with the Blue Jays, would be, I guess, my two favorites. And I throw Atlanta into the mix. I go one San Diego, 2 Toronto, 3 Atlanta from the teams we've talked about so far. And as I mentioned, I like Musgrove as a contrarian pitching option if you want to get creative. And if you're going to play him at all and you're going to play a San Diego stack, probably try to do it together. They do correlate well together anyway. All right, moving over to Texas and the White Sox here. So Jack Leiter, I'm curious about how many pitches we're going to have for him. I don't even know what this projection, where is this coming from exactly? It's a little confusing to me because I don't even think this is a thing. I know it's the White Sox, so we kind of have to always be interested. This is the lowest scoring team in recent baseball memory. But the last time we saw Leiter, he was basically pitching like 70 pitches. And today we've got him at 86. I know he's got called up. I know that we expect him to possibly be stretched out, but things have to go his way. So I'm going to go ahead and you got a bullpen game, but with a bad bullpen against Texas here. Look, it was a frustrating night for us all last night. This game should not have been canceled. Roth, it's one of the rare times he's gotten something very, very wrong. And I feel bad for the guy because he's been just inundated with just pure hate everywhere. And I think that he's a great guy, and everybody's going to be wrong sometimes. But this game right now I thought would have been like an interesting stacking spot until I realized the ownership of Texas was going to be so outlandish in a bullpen game. Now, it's an 8-game slate, not a 14-game slate. So I'm a little more open to the bullpen games than I would be on a full 14-game or 13-game or 12-game or whatever. You have a lot less games. So definitely interested a little bit in Texas here. At the same time, I'm interested a little bit in the White Sox. The only issue I want to point out is that at the moment, it looks like there's projected to be 11-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from left field at 73 degrees. And this is a place where the wind tends to go up, not down, once it gets going. And also that it's not Wrigley, but it's not a park that can completely block the wind. So it's tricky when you have these guys out. Again, it might end up being Toussaint, by the way. I'm looking at that now. I don't really know what's going to end up being you can see how many players are projected for Texas, for Chicago. That's what happens when you do this in the morning. But I'm interested, and I would try to, if I was me, I would try personally to try to attack the lefties. get Corey Seager in there. From the White Sox side, it's a little more complicated because the lefties, you do have super cheap Nicky Lopez. You have Andrew Benintendi, who's actually showing a little more power this year. Lennon Sosa, who's just a thing that we always have to consider because he's 2,200. So super cheap. I like the White Sox as a filler stack. I keep mentioning that I don't really want to full stack them, but I like the idea of filler stacking them. And just keep an eye on this game because I'm not sure these pitchers are indeed who's going to end up pitching tonight, and just feels a little bit shaky early in the day to try and guess at who it is. So we'll move on. Peralta against San Francisco, probably the most obvious spot, probably the highest owned pitcher. You see his K prop is the highest, his K expectancy is the highest on the slate. At the same time, like I like Peralta. We've seen him let us down plenty of times. It just happens when you play long enough. And I'll point out that he's had one, and it was 20 even, like 120 fantasy point game in his last 7 starts. Meanwhile, he's projected around 20 every game. He's had some tougher matchups than this one, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, man. I do like him. It's going to be mega chalk. It's the first guy I feel comfortable with. I think if you're playing cash, you're clearly playing him, so I'm going to tag him for now, but I'm not sure where I'm going to end up with as far as Peralta goes. I have a belief in Harrison, maybe more than most people in DFS. I don't think I'm going to carry that belief over to today. We've seen some just awesome performances out of him at different points, but it's mostly been in really premium matchups. I wouldn't classify this situation as such. It's a little bit tricky. This Milwaukee lineup, as I've mentioned quite a few times this year, I'm okay with attacking them with certain righties, but I also do believe that they're a better offense than they get credit for. And I just think for whatever reason, we're just used to the old stuff. I'm trying to get my splits here. Why can't I go, okay, versus, all right, no, versus, there we go, versus lefties. Let's just see where we have Milwaukee for the season. My guess is it's a little bit better than you want to mess with as far as the Harrison thing goes, which certainly did cross my mind. Yeah, I knew they were in the bottom. So yeah, 22nd in strikeouts against lefties. However, they face less lefties as well. So still about a 24% strikeout, about 23.5% strikeout rate. Not ideal. Not something you're trying to attack. At the same time, they are basically just like an average team in terms of their hitting against left-handed pitching on the season. So you're seeing some Milwaukee here. No issue with it per se. Absolutely fine if you want to go that route. I like the Hoskins, especially if he's in the 2-hole tonight. They've been left him 6th there a number of times. You get Sanchez in there possibly betting, third at 3,600. It could be an off day. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if they could play Ian Contreras and just DH, I guess, Sanchez. But one of these days you'll see an off day. So wait till the lineup shakes out. But I do like Milwaukee a little bit, and I will tag Blake Perkins just because even though with the pinch hit risk, these are 2 really good prices on players. So I'm just sort of, this. I'll fine tune my core plays later. But as of right now, those are guys I'm just certainly considering. We still haven't run into anything I really like, and unfortunately, I don't want to stack Coors as a 5-man on an 8-game slate where I know it's going to be very chalky. You've got Freeland against Meyer. It's hard not to have interest in this game, whether or not you fully stack or not. So again, I go back to look. Yesterday, I got you. That was how you win. Was the Colorado Miami, which got there very very late. Miami makes the huge comeback in the 9th inning, and look, it's gonna look great again on paper. It is interesting that Colorado is looking so low owned here against Meyer. I think that would be just my way of dealing with this game. It's 87 degrees, great hitting weather, wind blowing out. Why can't we play Colorado ahead of Miami here? So I actually think Colorado is the way that I will be leaning tonight. And you can see that I think that Goldies are a little closer to accurate. I think Colorado gets a little more ownership than they're being projected for. I'm just going to, for right now, tag Tovar, tag McMahon. I probably, would want to tag Doyle. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't like the Miami side of things. It's just that you're getting so much lower ownership on the Rockies. At least it looks that way as of right now. And I think it's going to be hard to fade this game today on this slate. So maybe make it a part of a 4-4. Maybe make it a part of a 3-man and in a 5-3. Or one thing you could do is you could potentially fully stack it with a team that's like sub 5% owned as your 3-man or something like that, or or your one-offs stay less than 10% each, and then maybe you get different at pitcher. But I don't think you want to stack just Miami blindly today. And it's interesting that Colorado with the higher total, I know they're a little more expensive, but they're going to be significantly lower owned than Miami. At least it looks that way as of this morning. All right, so maybe this time we get Erod. We thought we were going to get Erod yesterday. They turned into thought. I think that they would have rather had Erod based on the way things went. And on this slate, I think you have to at least consider him. The more I look at this slate, the more I kind of just want to go back to Sale and to Sale and excuse me. Why am I not thinking of the Peralta? So that's probably where I end up. I'm just taking a look at the pitch counts expected, 88 and 89. Nothing exciting. This is not a massive upside spot, I don't feel like. But Severino has enough talent to where I think you got to consider him as a play. Just based on raw talent alone. We haven't we've seen sort of hit or miss games. He just had a monster game against Miami with a complete gamer a couple starts ago. San Diego, he was pretty good considering that it is San Diego and they're a tough team to pitch to, as I mentioned earlier. He's been solid. I liked what I've seen. He had one blow up since the All-Star break, but other than that, he's been pretty solid. And I think Severino is every bit as good of a play as Suarez here. So if I was going to have to choose, I think I might choose Severino. Now, look, I don't think these are the best plays on the slate, but we have to deal with what we're getting ownership wise. We have to deal with what we're getting on this slate. Like we don't have like a lot of incredible options. And I'll sort of coming back and circle around to talk through what I like the most at the end of this. But it's not a lot to completely love pitching wise that you feel safe with outside of Sale and Peralta, which I think maybe is what you're supposed to just do. Corbin Burnes has dominated the Dodgers. I'm a huge Dodger fan. You guys know it. I'm going to this game tonight, so I am, of course, going to be stacking both sides of this game. And it's not just because I'm going. I honestly think it's a totally viable thing to do. Only 73 in LA, not bad though. I mean, we were fortunate to get some games in the 80s this summer. It's dropping back down again, which has made it like nicer to live down here, but maybe not as nice for hitting for fantasy, for daily fantasy. Anyway, I'm good with the Burnes play. I know I hate saying that on a game I'm going to against the Dodgers. It is interesting when you see Corbin Burnes at 20% ownership and Corbin Burnes with a 5.2 strikeout expectancy. And that's running 5,000 simulations on that game. That's a little bit wild. Okay. And tonight is probably not the night to do it. But as I mentioned, I don't love the pitching. If you're playing 150, having some shares of Walker Buehler makes sense. You can see, look, their projection is within 3.5 fantasy points. And you get a discount. You face look. They're both awesome lineups. You probably don't want to do anything here with these pitchers. I do think you want to play some Corbin. I don't think I want to necessarily play him at 20% ownership, but maybe I get 10% of them, maybe even a little bit higher, just because he's dominated these Dodgers, the lineup he's going to be facing. It's a small enough sample size, 100 at bats exactly. He has 36 strikeouts in those 100 at bats, and I think he's only given up one home run. But I am going to be interested a little bit in the hitting here on both sides. So what exactly is stopping us from stacking against Walker Buehler? And I'm a Walker Buehler believer. I believe at some point he bounces back. It may not be this season. He's going to bounce back. The guy's, I don't actually saying he's going to win a Cy Young. I'm saying that I think he'll be an all-star. Well, I think he'll reach at least near all-star level pitcher again. And I'm expecting much better than that. Actually, I'll say it. I think he's going to be an all-star pitcher again. This ownership, though, for what he's been right now is way too low on Baltimore. Baltimore should be one of the priorities, in my opinion. I really like Baltimore tonight. And look, maybe I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's the game where Buehler gets it together. But this has been, he has looked dreadful. He can't strike anybody out. He's walking everybody. He's giving up home runs. He's not making it out. He made it to out of the fifth inning one time since he's come back. No, not even. He's on his third start back from earlier this year when he was horrible. Also, then he had only one good start all season. I don't understand why you don't take one of the best offenses here. And look, I'm a Dodger fan at a game I'm going to, talking about I want to stack up these Baltimore Orioles. So that's my contrarian play of the day. I also am totally happy to get to the Dodgers as a contrarian because I don't like that much on this slate. And to sum it all up, to sort of bring it back around, let's clear this and go to all players here. And then we'll run a quick build and get out of here. And then we'll come back talking through some golf stuff. And, I still have more golf research to do, but unfortunately I'm going to do the show this morning. I've done a good amount though. And I've been very dialed into watching basically every tournament since the Olympics, including waking up in the middle of the night with 125,000, winning 125,000 with like 7 holes to go. And it turns into a break-even day is always a little bit rough. Shout out to a couple of our other contributors and members that have had some similar situations as of late. All right, so you can see that it's pretty clear that the safest thing is to play Sale Peralta. I want to include Festa. I want to include. I'm not going to touch this Jack Leiter thing. I just think that maybe I will. Maybe I'll change my mind by later today. But I'm going to need to really think about that. I like the Bassett and Musgrove to get different, and I like Severino to get different. But these are going to be the 2 priorities just because of the lack of other options. And then stacks-wise, look, I'm very high on the Colorado side of things. Miami, just because the ownership I'm trying to avoid. Texas certainly makes sense, but when you look at the ownership, it makes you feel like you're doing something wrong. So maybe Toronto along with Colorado, along with Baltimore would be the way that I'd like to play this slate right now. Things may change. Sheets may have different thoughts at 6:30 Eastern, but that's what I've got. And I'm going to do a quick build. We're going to build 100. We're going to throw in a contest sim for the lottery just to see what it is. I don't even know I didn't look even which was the lottery. I've only stuck on our page today. And guys, just a quick reminder, really that NFL, our prices are going to be so much cheaper. I mean, we've got other sites out there that are charging more for one sport for one season than we are for absolutely everything. And we are offering absolutely everything. So really, whether or not you even like me or like Rody or like Brandon or anything, we do have 3 sets of projections, and I think it's a really unique way. Sheets has had incredible success just importing his projections and then using the builder through SaberSim, and it's a great tool you can use with us. So I really would encourage you guys to check it out. We also have a $10.99 3-day trial if you want to try it out before NFL. I think it's really, really helpful. But again, don't forget to use the NFL 24 code. We want you guys to get in there as cheaply as possible. So what is the big one today? The bat flip, I'm going to guess it is. So we're going to run a bat flip. We're going to save the settings, and we're going to see what SaberSim wants to give us with making minimal changes that we have to. And we're just going to change very, very insignificant things. So 7.99 turns into 8, and 7.07 turns into 7. Okay. All right. So we do those 2 little things, which are just really not going to change anything. But it's going to allow us to build these lineups and see what SaberSim wants to give us. So here we go. We're going to analyze simulations, and we'll see where it goes from here. And then we'll play around with it to see. I'll say what I would like, but look, what I would like has not necessarily been the end all be all. Been much better lately outside of the very unfortunate game getting canceled last night. I had Heaney in my big buy-ins. There's no way to win when that happens. And also I had White Sox where I didn't have Heaney. So it was really, really tough to win when you bank on a game that doesn't even look like it has any risk concern. And all of a sudden that you're losing all your money because you can't keep up when you don't have guys playing. It's a little frustrating. All right, let's see what we got here. So any predictions out there for what we're going to get? My guess, this is an interesting one. I usually have a better guess of this. I like Baltimore, so I'm going to say that they're going to give us some Baltimore. They're just really expensive, so maybe not because Sale and Peralta. So actually, you know what? I'll scratch that because they're going to play Sale and Peralta mostly. So who's the cheap team that we can get to? They're not going to give us more than the field of Texas, are they? Maybe San Diego. Maybe that's a team that they can talk us and themselves into. Maybe Milwaukee. Those would be my guesses. Let's take a look. And Milwaukee it is. The White Sox second, Colorado third, Texas fourth, San Diego fifth. So not too bad on my part. Kind of guessed a little bit of it. And let's see the types of stacks we're getting on this slate. It's basically all 5-3 and 5-2. A little bit of 8% 4-4. I like that. I'm a person who firmly believes in a 10% 4-4 or 10 between 4-4 and 4-3. I think you should always have like 10% of it on slates that have 8 or less games. That's where I'm at. Brandon says, as a Giants fan, stack the Brewers today. Hey, look, you could have done a lot worse. I don't disagree with that at all. I actually think that makes plenty of sense. And I still am maybe a little bit more of a believer in Harrison than other people are, but the Brewers are. It's not a great. It's the funny part is they're completely average against lefties, but you've got two lefties in the top 4 in your projected lineup. I'm not sure that's going to stay the case, but that makes it a little bit nerve-wracking for me. And what do you guys think of the Sale? It's going to be such a high ownership on Sale and Peralta. Actually on Peralta, 96%. Oh boy. Sale at 32%. Let me just do this like this. Then they get to Freeland. And by the way, I'm not entirely opposed to some Freeland stacks. It's incredible leverage. He's actually, and look, there may not be guys outside of Peralta and Sale that score more than like 16 fantasy points tonight. That's very possible with the way this slate is lined up. But I would encourage everyone to go. If it was me, I would go like this in my other stuff. I don't feel as strongly about the top, and I also don't want to have 96% of a guy who I feel like it's been a little bit more volatile than maybe some people think. I would go 15 there. Let's do 8 here. I would want at least, what else is the other one? Festa, I want at least 15. Oops, 1-5. And let's say Corbin Burns. I'm okay to go a little bit higher, but it's kind of weird going against the best lineup in baseball, but I don't want to go much higher. Where do we have Bassett? We have no Bassett here. What's happening? The other areas. So I would be okay to go 15 here. You're just playing for upside, hoping you get the right game. So let's apply those, see what we get out of it. That seems a little more reasonable. Now let's do this. I don't love that. Okay, a little bit more reasonable to me. At least from where I'm standing. So let's see. And then what does that do for our stacks? That takes us to 39%, more manageable number of Milwaukee. So Brandon would be happy. Still plenty of Milwaukee, 28% Colorado, 26% White Sox. It cut the White Sox down, which I like. It brought Texas back up, and that's playing Texas basically with the field. Not my favorite thing to do in the lottery, but again, not a lot of great options. I do like this San Diego idea, so that's where I'm at. Anyway, I wish you guys all the luck in the world tonight. I of course won't be there at 6. Sheets will be. I'll be bouncing back with a golf show shortly. I know it says 1:30 Eastern or whatever on the or 1 Eastern on the golf show. I'm probably going to jump in a little bit earlier than that and go through the golf slate so I can get ready for my day down in LA. We're going to another Ohtani bobblehead. My buddy who lives right by the stadium, and he makes good money and everything, but he buys the tickets for the bobbleheads because look, for every game that is going to happen for Ohtani, you're going to make more money off the bobbleheads than you are the tickets are going to cost, unless you're sitting like literally first row behind home plate, which I don't really care about anyway. So anyway, Harrison is god awful on the road. It's true. He has been much better at home than he has been on the road. Actually, has he been? Let me just double check. I think I had the same note, but I'm not sure that's even right anymore. Let me just double check where Harrison is at. I think he's right though. I think it's somewhat right. Yeah, he's been, but even still, like, it's not like completely unreasonable. Like it's not an egregious number. He does give up a lot of home runs on the road at like an astronomical amount per inning. So maybe Brandon's right. Play the Milwaukee side. I'm just going to go back to the Milwaukee stack because there's been a lot of talk about it on our little show today. And I'm just going to see where Milwaukee's looking like they're going to be owned as a stack. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm starting to come around on you, Brandon. I think this is making some sense. Yeah, it's funny that's a good point. He shut down the Rockies in Coors twice. Yeah, that's true. That's fair enough. And that's something that counts for something. You know what I mean? He also dominated them at home for whatever. The Rockies are one team that he certainly seemed to hit him pretty well. But there you have it. There's a quick look at the slate. Sheets will be there to update everything at 6 Eastern. Good luck to everybody today. Hope you guys crush it. And let's make some money.